And how do you see the challenges evolving, that you're seeing now in 2021, but also over the next 5 or 10 years, and how golf courses will have to adapt to the challenges in future years?
Well, there's no doubt that water across our society is going to be in greater demand, and there will be tighter use restrictions on how water is used. With growing populations, with increased urban areas, with the demand for potable water for housing, agriculture, irrigation, a lot of potable water is being used across those areas, and golf unfortunately still is using too much potable water. In the UK, the figure is staggeringly somewhere in the region of 65–70% of golf courses are still using potable water in one form or another to irrigate their golf courses, and that really is something that we should try to move away from as much as possible, for all the obvious reasons. Apart from anything else, there's a lot of demand for it, and it's an expensive way to irrigate your golf course. So there are going to be more availability restrictions for golf courses going forward. So how they use their irrigation water, wherever it's coming from, is going to be more and more important. And of course, if we don't do something to manage that ourselves, then it will be managed for us by regulation and other outside agencies. So it's in our interest, just like it is for any other user, to be responsible and to do everything you can to manage it the best way possible. I think the other thing to think about is, as I mentioned, golf courses are seen as often the problem child when it comes to using water in the leisure industry, or indeed across industries, because golf is not for everybody. Not everybody is playing golf, and therefore it's a high user of water to manage golf courses, or at least traditionally it has been. But I think that golf has got a very important role to play in leading the way in showing what can be done to sensibly manage water use in a leisure environment, as opposed to maybe agriculture or for domestic use. And golf, like any other sport or recreation, does have an important role to play in society, and that's been proven, actually throughout this pandemic period, where golf has actually been proven to be very, very good for mental health and exercise, etc., when other ways of exercising have not been available. But also, golf courses are a unique environment. They're quite big, 150 acres or so, with a very mixed habitat. And one of the things that we're noticing, of course, with climate change are these extremes in weather condition changes. We're getting wetter winters with higher rainfalls. We're even getting, wetter springs as well. And that's causing, flooding in many areas. We've seen it this year. We've seen it across Europe, and we've seen it in the UK as well, of course. And golf courses could actually be helpful to manage that. If you can imagine the water going through a catchment area, passing through a golf course, where they actually had sufficient winter storage to take some of that water at peak flow times out of the river catchment and slow that water down as it goes downstream, either as it passes through the golf course, through the soil profile, etc., but also being collected and captured, then that's going to help further downstream manage flood risk, which of course is a huge issue. And of course, what you've then got is stored water that could be used in the peak demand times to reduce the demand from other sources when demand is high for other uses. So with some good planning and some good strategy and some support for golf courses who want to do that, building reservoirs and storing water has got to be something worth considering. And the other major benefit is you help to create some really interesting habitats for flora and fauna, which again is something which golf courses are uniquely placed to do.